How often have you seen contractor ISSM roles? I only met one contractor ISSM. Everyone else have been a government thinking about going down this path. How many ISSM roles have been contractor roles? I'm going to give you a specific case study, something that actually happened to me. My last position 3-4 years ago, I was working for a federal organization. And as I said, I was an information system security officer, but I was a contractor. Actually, I was a subcontractor, and they brought me in for the prime contractor. Purely were contractors in this organization. The person I reported to and talked to, his position was a cybersecurity senior manager or something, right? Is what we call them. But I reported to him just like he was an information system security manager. That being said, he was not the information system security manager, right? He was just managing me and several other people within our organization. We reported to an actual government information system security manager, because that role changed 2 or 3 times. At one point, there was probably 4 or 5 people in that role. They're usually a government person. The way that the government's doing it these days, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, like I'm by no means an expert on this one, been out of that space for a bit, because it might have changed, right? In my experience, what would happen was, what the government was doing it was that they would have a government GS level person who is an information system security manager, because they need direct responsibility for that system. And it was okay for them to have contractors underneath them to kind of do the work, but they were like the foreman. They were like the person who takes all the responsibility at the end of the day. They're the person who signs off on the system security plan. That's how the government was doing it 3 years ago when I was contracting information. To answer your question, do I know of any ISSMs who are contractors? Now that you mention it, I can't even think of one. Even though normally what they would do is I would have a manager who is a contractor above me, but the final say-so was still a government person. I've been doing this for 20 years. I didn't know any. They normally had a government person. And the reason why is because it's kind of a conflict of interest. If you have a purely contracting person in certain positions where they can kind of determine what's good, when they can say, oh yeah, they're going to rubber stamp everything. Imagine a Lockheed Martin person. I'm sure that there are Lockheed, Northrop Grumman information security managers. Okay, don't get me wrong. I'm sure that there are some. And like I said, there have been ones that had that title. It normally goes to somebody above them who is a GS person who says, okay, they're the final say-so on letting that documentation or that risk go forward. Because otherwise, it's kind of a conflict of interest, because you're Northrop, you're SAIC, you're whoever, right? They're going to be like, they're going to rubber stamp everything. Like, yep, this is good, this is good, this is good. You have to have that person that's in between, the government person, to validate and has the best interests of the government in mind, and not just the interest of the company. I have not met many, and when I did, it was normally somebody above them, the real information system security manager.